Happy Sunday. It's April 16th at 10:25 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And on screen, we are looking at the US dollar index DXY on the monthly time frame. So I wanted to come here since it's the middle of the month and take a look at price action from this standpoint. We're looking at top-down analysis. Okay, so forgive me if I just am silent, as I'm doing the research and just really taking a good look at price action to see what I see. Um, Basically, we're here at a major reversal area. So I am interested in looking at what price action wants to do. Again, as you know, as a Forex trader, the only thing you can do is respond to the information that becomes available to you. I'm not trying to predict or jump the gun, but you want to, or react. You want to just look at the printed data information and respond, form a proper response to the information as it presents itself to you. Okay, so the first thing I see calling out here is the respect that we're starting to kind of have at this zone. When we were here at the end of January, the price had a strong, it dipped down, but price had a strong bullish um, momentum here, and it ended up closing in this bullish pattern, kangaroo tail, if you're familiar with naked Forex. Um, Mediating this gap that's present here. So I like this pattern here. So far in the daily, we see that we're having we closed here. This is a Friday candle. So this is Thursday, Friday, where we were in a sell. And the first thing I see is a 1, 2, 3 pattern that we have. And then we started to show some respect as we mediated this large gap that's here. And now we're bullish. The candle has closed bullish. We're up approximately, let's see, if we look at the open at 101,471, we're bullish about 50 pips. All right, so we did have the 3 bearish wave drive down and had a strong rejection or reversal at the same point as we have had in the past. So price did drop down outside of my fib levels here at 100, but overall it did fall in alignment with the same wave pattern, or with my trend line here that I drew. All right, so it's Sunday, and I want to take a look at some of the fundamental news that's coming out. Let's see. All right, so n- we've had IMF meetings lately. This is all like the yellow folder news. But I like to say that these meetings and the information that come out of this are important because they ultimately impact or affect everything that we do and how we use money, how we exchange money. It's the International Monetary Fund. All right, so red candle or red, okay, I want to say candle so bad. So red folder news, Empire State Manufacturing Index, claimant count change, monetary policy meetings, GDP from China, quarter over year. Like there's some good stuff that's coming out here on Monday. We've got some good stuff here on Tuesday. This is really going to help the price action move or price, really move. And we've seen a lot over the last couple of weeks. So for a trader or anybody who's really interested in Forex trading, like this is a good week to potentially catch some really good moves as we're seeing how things are starting to set up. So I like this. Actually, I'm going to go back. So Canadian CPI is coming out and they're going to talk about their level of inflation. So that'll be really important. Let's see, on Friday, we have our flash manufacturing, is it PMI? What is PMI? Purchasing Managers Index. I was going to say performance management or manufacturing. But this is overall the manufacturing industry with how well we're doing with our productions and our exports, things that we are exportable goods. Okay. All right, so let's just run over here and take a look at routers. Here I go, it's right here on my handy dandy home screen. Okay, so not really a lot overall that affects the US dollar that I'm seeing, although everything kind of affects the US dollar. Ultimately, everything does. But right now, I'm not seeing any major headline news. Okay, so let's also look at AP News. There's another website I like to look at too, just so we can overall get a good fundamental analysis. Okay, so I'm just reading through the headlines. Nothing too alarming that I can see right now that could potentially have negative impacts on the US dollar in the top headline news. I'm not saying that any of these things aren't important. They definitely are. But for the sake of our conversation and what we're looking for um, in terms of headline news that affects or could majorly impact the US dollar this week, that's the point and premise of what we're looking for right now. And so as I'm just scrolling through the home pages, I'm not, even though, like I said, all this news is very important, and at some time I will, come and peruse some of the things that I'm interested in. Actually, here, this is kind of political, but G7. Okay, so if you don't know what G7 is, let's just look it up real quick, but just to make sure like I'm absolutely correct. But they are the group. Um, we experience G7 meetings on the Forex, on the economic calendar. So that's why, I would be concerned or care what they say, because when they have news outlets on the economic calendar, it usually has um, increased volatility in the markets. So G7 or G13 meetings, I mean, they've got, um, oh, it's a collection of groups. So it's an international group of 7 and an intergovernmental political forum consisting of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, UK. Okay, so that's about it for that. So they're going to meet and talk about whether the disclosure has harmed trust between the allies. And the only reason why I call this out is because this is like data leaks and like security leaks and like overall like trust or fear between governments or like within a group or set of people can have detrimental effects on our society. And since this is such a like a high level, highbrow case, I think that it's important to pay attention to as best as, I don't want to say like as most as you can, but rather loosely, um, as it impacts the US dollar. For example, if, you know, something negative were to happen because of that, what happens because of this, like because of the backlash or whatever, or something positive, who knows? But, from data leaks, security leaks, yeah, it can be good or bad, but it will ultimately affect the DXY. It'll ultimately affect where price will be headed. It'll ultimately affect our, our relationships with other countries and how willing they're wanting to be with, doing business with the U.S. and using U.S. dollars. Cash is king in the Forex market, and there has been some talks about um, destabilizing the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. So I want you to do your own research on that, but it's, some of the things that, I check the news fairly frequently. And so if I just read the headlines or pop open a brief story, it's something that just kind of comes to mind is that there are, several entities or um, energies or, people that may potentially, I mean, whenever you're doing something, you're always going to have somebody that's in opposition. So I just want to say that, but there could be, some people that could potentially want to see the US dollar fail. And so if we're thinking about, data leaks and how they affect our allies in the midst of, economic recession, geopolitical wars, I mean, there could be a lot that we experience, as people are placing doing the blame game and, figuring things out. And my point and purpose is just to say that all of this will be reflected in the price action that we see over the coming months, years, or weeks. All right, so with that said, I like to see that price respected my trend line, give or take. Um, we've got 1, 2, 3 strong bullish candle moving up. I'd like to see how market opens over the next couple of days and see um, how we can move price back around 102 and see, how price responds. Are we just going to magnet like this for a little bit? Or are we going to bust on all the way back through some of these points as we're seeing returned um, bullish momentum? Now, this is on the daily. So a correction is needed, but overall, this is a downtrend, okay? I'm going to go out here to the weekly, actually, clean out the chart. Okay, so it's clear to see here on the weekly, but we've had a strong bearish move to the downside. We broke through in the fall in October, retraced for better entries, correction, and it has been a strong move down ever since, okay? As we can see, this price is a major reversal area. So I urge some caution as we're trading this week, really to, again, respond to what price action is doing, not necessarily reacting. And we'll see what to do. Well, I'll see you in the next one.